views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corporation.
Y'all ready for this?
Booyah! We are back. It is 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Getting a little lighter outside.
It is, yeah.
And it is Wednesday, the first Wednesday in February, February 7th. That means it's time for another installment of Southern Nevada Sports News coming to you from WWDBTV.com. My name is Bill Miller, co-host along with
Jeff Belknap.
And it is also the first Wednesday after the Super Bowl, the big game. You're not allowed for some reason to use the term Super Bowl in Las Vegas, but you just use it all day, all night. Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl.
That's right. Call us.
Call us, please. Want the attention.
Tell us all about it.
Yes. Free news.
That's right.
That's right. Anyway, it's we've got a lot to discuss tonight in terms of sports. Obviously, the Golden Knights continue to
just rolling on this.
Just rolling.
Yeah.
And also, there's a brand new professional franchise coming to town, which we'll talk to you about. The United States Soccer League, or the USL. The United Soccer League.
Yep.
And it is the Las Vegas Lights Football Club. And so we're going to be talking about them. But first, needless to say, a surprise game.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Well, I think if you're anywhere outside of the Massachusetts state line, you were probably surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know the people in Philly, they were just waiting for this to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Finally.
Yes.
Got their championship.
Yes.
And you know what? I honestly am feeling them, all the time that they've waited, considering I'm still on the bubble. Not really on the bubble. I'm like off the side or whatever, but with the Detroit Lions, of course. But, hey, you know what? It's great to see Philly finally pull it off.
Yeah.
Great game by Nick Foles. I love the way that they put together like certain plays to kind of keep drives alive. Big couple big fourth down plays that could have really changed the game a lot.
Would have changed the whole dynamic. And honestly, even after the Hail Mary by Tom Brady, I was still thinking there's some way they're going to pull this game.
You're like, buzzer, wait, there's a
wait a minute,
flag?
I kept thinking, okay, somebody pass interference, something.
Yeah.
Holding, Brady got knocked on his can, so I thought maybe it might be a roughing the passer, one more shot, 15 yards.
Yeah.
I just kept thinking until actually, no, that's it.
It's over.
It's over.
Yeah.
And
I could tell you, watching the game, watching the amount of offense that was in the game.
Yeah.
And so it set a record for the most offensive yards in a game ever, not in just a Super Bowl.
Ever
in any game.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I'm like, are these guys going to stop each other at all? And it ended up being a Michigan guy against Tom Brady that actually caused the fumble.
Yeah.
And, just watching that, I'm like, this guy really going to do this to his own alumni? But I guess it's like the millennial, like passing the torch type of deal.
It was, it literally took finally a defensive play near the end of the game. Basically 58 minutes and some change for finally be a defensive play, significant play, to literally change the dynamics of the game.
Well, just like every other game that ever happens, anytime an announcer says something, you already know, here we go.
Hasn't missed a field goal all year, bang, he's going to miss that field goal.
Yeah. And, by the way, the kickers were garbage in the first half of that game.
Can't blame the punter, at least not for
New England. One punt?
He didn't have a single punt.
For New England.
I think New England didn't have a single punt.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think there was only maybe one punt that I saw anyway.
From the Eagles.
Total in the game.
Yeah. But go ahead.
No, I was going to say the kicking game, well, first of all, is garbage. But going into the second half, New England scored on the first three possessions, touchdowns. And the guy came on, I think it was Collinsworth said, they've scored on all three possessions. And I was like, oh man, why'd he say that? You know, because I already know that anytime that someone says that they're going to get stopped
it's a kiss
in
of death.
dispossession.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
So, which is exactly what happened. They fumbled and, you know, whatever. But it's a good game, man. I enjoy watching games like that. Very exciting. I mean, every play you're kind of like on the edge of your seat type of thing.
Yeah, you know, so much for this this idea. Once again, I said, oh yeah, I think that, you know, low scoring.
Wait, did you say under?
I'm sure I did. I'm almost positive I did.
Yeah.
And you know, Brady had over 400 yards by the end of the third quarter.
Yeah,
it's the first time that's ever happened. He had 5. If anybody would have said New England will not punt, Tom Brady will have over 500 yards, 3 TDs, no picks, and he will lose.
Well, no. How about this?
He'd have been locked up.
How about this? Before the game, or no, okay, so after the game, people don't see the game. Then they see Tom Brady. I don't know what his exact stats were, but 505 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, point spread. What do you think the point spread would be? Just looking at Tom Brady's stats alone. Forget about whatever else is going on.
20, 25.
Yeah, you would think
Yeah.
that, like, in a game like that, especially like if it was in Foxborough, but
Yeah.
a Super Bowl, neutral site,
Yeah.
a minimum that would have been was 14 points if you just looked at his stats.
And, you know, but to say that he would have lost by 8.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's my point. Like, if you would have just looked at his stats, you would have been like, they won that game by at least 2 touchdowns.
Oh, it was, you know, it was just absolutely mind-boggling. But I will say this, and the hats off to the Philadelphia Eagle coaching staff for just simply not taking their foot off the gas pedal.
That was what,
which ultimately doomed Atlanta last year.
Yeah.
You know, they just simply changed their entire, you know, way they were playing in the second half, and it doomed them.
Right.
You know, and I think that Philadelphia looked at that and said, if we've got the opportunity to get out there ahead, you know, we've got to keep it up.
Yeah.
Some really, as you mentioned, the play calling. In fact, the play calling on 4th and goal, and,
oh my gosh.
and Nick Foles,
That's
you know,
so
getting the TD reception. You know, and also just, you know, and again, hats off to the entire organization. Both teams played out of their minds with the idea that how can we lose this game?
Right.
And at the end, somebody had to lose it. Just happened to be the Patriots. But it would have been, you know, I mean, you're just looking at the way the two played. You know, this was one for the books.
Well, I can tell you this. If anyone's ever watched this show, they'll know how critical I am to coaching. Because I'm not a coach, but I am an armchair coach, and I will, you know, admit that.
Yeah, I think we all are at some point.
But very often I mention how teams should never stop trying to score. And I just kind of feel like that a lot of teams, they allow the other team to get back into the game because they don't continue to play.
Yeah.
And what the Eagles did not do was stop. Every drive they continue to try to score.
Yeah.
I mean, and when you're going for it on 4th down on your side of the field against the Patriots, that's a ballsy play. I mean, you're basically 10 yards away from field goal range and you're going for it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're basically, that's showing some confidence in that.
It's an enormous amount of confidence, but it also lets your players know.
That's right.
You know, hey, you know, we believe in you.
That's
right.
right.
We're going to make this thing happen.
Yeah, and we know that we can get this 1 or 2 yards, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We're going to take a chance, and even if we don't get it, our defense is going to stand up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's basically what your coaching staff is telling you. So, hats off to the Eagles for that.
Yeah.
The fact that they didn't stop, and really, coaches in general should watch that game and say, this is exactly how you should take care of games.
Oh, you know,
keep your foot on the gas.
The term prevent defense has always driven me crazy.
Oh my gosh! Terrible.
Because you know you're allowing people to just rip off huge chunks of yards because you're just staying back. I just want to keep this guy in front of me.
Right.
Yeah. No matter what it costs. You know, and unfortunately, it's one of those things that I'm just thinking, oh my God, whoever invented the term, first of all, should be shot, and secondly, it just, you know, I think more times than not, especially if you're playing against a quarterback like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers,
yeah,
these things have a way of coming back and haunting you. But I will tell you this: when he threw that thing up, that Hail Mary First of all,
Everybody
he kind of
stopped.
pulled away. And I'm thinking, oh, the guy, just reach out and grab him, And then I was thinking, don't rush 3, Blitz the hell out of the guy.
That's right.
Make him have to be falling backwards and just heaving it up in the air.
Yeah.
Because he'll never get it 50 yards down the field. So that's another thing that bugs me. Why give him a chance to get back, set up, and pump his 40-year-old arm and heaving it downfield where, it landed in the end zone. And then I see, Gronk go up, and it looks like, he's kind of going up. But there's a guy in front of him, back of him, sideways, this and that. You knock it, and then I think I forgot who it was. Was it Edelman that suddenly kind of dove over there? I'm thinking, like, if this fool catches this pass, I'm done with football forever, because this is just it's a New England era, and we're only here to watch them.
Yeah. And
then it was like, okay, there's a flag somewhere. I kept waiting for the little sign to say, the little flag, yellow flag.
I was hoping, actually.
Yeah.
Just for my financial,
Oh, okay.
Because I did have New England, I told you the action I had. I did have New England to win the game.
Yeah.
I didn't bet that. I actually pulled it out of a hat and actually got New England. But I bet Philly just to kind of protect my bet, so I was in good shape. But if for some reason it could have fell in that number in between there, I would have been good. Yeah. So there were several times in the game I'm like, okay, this is gonna be good. It's gonna be a great day.
The 2 props that I won on was that New England would score in all 4 quarters.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
And the other one was that I think it was somebody had 2 TD catches. Wasn't
Gronk?
Gronk.
Yeah.
For 2 TD passes.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, I had hit the Gronk. The Gronk prop.
But I went for some high probability items that Well, one I had was the Patriots would score 18 points and win. And the other one was that the Eagles would score 11 points. And we kind of know where that went. I had, I think, Foles with between 240 and 260 yards, but it was.
Well, I'll tell you what, the attempts for Brady went all the way down to the end. And when it first started out, that was an easy money type of bet.
Yeah.
But then they started running the ball.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, wow, this isn't going to hit. And then obviously at the end of the game, they had to score at the end of the game. So they were able to pull that out. But, honestly, it was a good game. I was very satisfied with the end of the season. It's like one of those seasons where you're like, kind of like it's glad it's over. But just going from there. So Josh McDaniels takes a job at the Colts as a head coach.
Yes.
Backs out on the same day.
Yes.
How does that happen?
It doesn't. It's not supposed to. And I'm thinking to myself, please tell me they didn't just, before he signed on the dotted line, they didn't just open up and say, come on down and see what we're doing down here. And, here's the playbook and this, and, tell us what you think. And because then he should honestly, that they should sue him.
Really?
Honestly, yes. If in fact that there was if the discussions were so far along, and clearly they had to have been, because
of course, they were basically down to the contract.
What do you think of what we've been doing versus what you intend to do?
Right.
Kind of a thing. So this is where we're at.
Okay.
If they opened up the books, so to speak. There's
2 things that I'm thinking. Number 1 is that he didn't have the monkey picture.
Okay. Charles Barkley monkey theory, folks.
There you go.
Yeah.
And if anyone has that picture available, it's Irsay with the Colts. But the second thing is, I'm thinking, this is my thought, I don't think they were totally honest about Luck's, the position he was in to come back. And I think that, you as a head coach coming back to a team where you might be like possibly playing with your backup at best, with no way of really drafting, a quarterback, and it just puts you in a position. Or that's my first thought.
Okay.
I didn't really think of the monkey thing, but that was a joke. But the second one is that I think that something might be happening with the Patriots, where maybe there might be a shifting in coaching there, where he could actually better himself there.
Yeah. Well, word around the campfire is that Belichick will be back for at least 1, maybe 2 years.
Okay.
So, but I think that as far as McDaniels is concerned, first of all, he got another bite at the apple. This is not a guy who had a success story as a head coach and then decided to come back because he just loves Bill Belichick and the Patriot organization. I think there is a part of one of the two there. I think that it's an easy role to be an offensive coordinator for that team.
Yeah.
But I think that he will have an awfully difficult job ever getting another head coach job anywhere outside of the Patriot organization. If his job is head coach, it will probably be with the Patriots.
Yeah.
But I cannot possibly see another team saying, yeah, sure, right, we're almost going to do this.
Yeah, we're going to announce you as the head coach.
Yeah.
And then later that day, you're going to back out.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to.
I'm trying to think of what that conversation was like, Mr.
Was
Irsay.
it psych?
Yeah,
or
Mr.
like
Irsay.
These nuts,
hey,
or what do you think?
Yeah, Mr. Irsay, you don't have to call me Mr. Irsay. Josh, how you doing? I mean, we've got, as we said, we've got some neighborhoods, I think you and your family might be interested in.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the Jets sounds great. Hey, listen, you know what? I think I'm just not going to take this job. And I'm sure there was this silence. And first of all, I think the spineless individual it was his agent.
Yeah.
And that's what agents do. They take the heat.
So you don't even think he himself?
Absolutely not.
Really?
Absolutely not.
See, I mean, I think if I was going to back off a position like that, I think I would at least be man enough to be the guy that made the call.
If I'm that deep in it, I accept the job.
Right.
With or without Andrew Luck. I think anybody who takes that job has got to realize that Luck may not be the man going forward.
Well, I mean, you would think that he's going to be there this year, though.
Oh, yeah, he will be there, but he is clearly fragile.
Right.
And I think that his longevity, he's not getting any younger. It's hard to believe. He's been in the league now, 6-7 years?
Yeah, he's got to be like within the last couple of years of his
but
NFL
he's also relatively fresh because he hasn't taken a lot of hits in the last couple of years.
I mean, what did he play, like 4 games last year?
Yeah, if that. And then the year before?
Right.
Maybe 6, 7
games,
yeah. So he hasn't taken a lot of hits, but at the end of the day, he's the only one that's going to know really what his condition is like. He and his doctors.
That's right.
And I think, and his agent. But I just think that at that level, given the fact that this guy was also getting another bite of the apple as a head coach, I think you got to take that job.
Yeah.
You really do.
The other side of that, Patricia took the Lions head.
Yes. Are you happy about that? All 613 yards.
I was actually really happy going into the whole season. The Super Bowl made me not as like
little pause for concern.
Yeah. But they did hire the DC today.
Oh, okay.
Why'd you ask me that? I don't know.
I didn't know. So
I kind of catch stuff in passing. I'm like, oh, they hired DC, but I know he was the guy that was on his staff with the Patriots, and he was an Italian guy. So I don't know.
Do you think that the Patriots have a kind of team where that, much like the players are interchangeable, so are the coaching positions?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, like if you look at all the coaches that have made their way to NFL head coaching positions, they're all products of literally the same coaching staff.
Yeah, and not very successful.
Well, true, but maybe successful, but not in
the coaching record. I think was 100 wins, or approximately 100 wins, and 170 losses. Only one or two has actually won a playoff game.
Under 40%.
Yeah. Only one or two of them actually won a playoff game.
Yeah.
Obviously, none of them have won a Super Bowl, and none of them are still coaching. Romeo Crennel,
Well, look at Jim Schwartz. I mean, Jim Schwartz got a Super Bowl as a DC.
Yes.
But a Lions coach, obviously, garbage.
Yeah, well, he's certainly put together a winning defense this
Absolutely.
year. And, and I think that Schwartz deserves another job as a coach. I really do. I think he ran into a buzzsaw in Detroit.
Yeah.
But he was the head coach, so, as go the teams. If you lose, it's the coach's fault. If you win, it's usually the players.
Yeah. Well, I look at it this way. Head coach is not an easy job.
No.
And it's shown over and over and over. I'll still go back and, the Lions fired their head coach from last year. I mean, obviously they had a plan. But for what? What exactly did you fire him for?
That was
having two
mistake.
playoff appearances in 4 years.
Yeah.
Or the fact that you've recruited and built together one of the better defenses in the league.
Yep.
And kind of handing it to a good defensive coach.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens.
Who will be able to go in and and really do well with that defense.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the Lions still won't draft a running back. They haven't had a good running back since Reggie Bush.
Do you think they won't this year as well?
No. I think they'll absolutely try to give it to Matthew Stafford and give him
Here's
the
the ball.
stats.
You got 4 quarters, son.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Come on,
make it happen.
Hey, we'll keep you in the game until 2 minutes left, and then it's up to you.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's still obviously the Colts they're a bit snippy right now, rightfully so.
Yeah.
And now they have to, of course, go out and and recruit a coach.
The Lions just fired a coach.
That might not be a bad move. It would be like a kind of a swap, but unfortunately he did coach the Colts for so I don't see that happening.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, he didn't even do that bad at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really think about the whole spectrum of the coaching staff, I mean, it takes we can sit back and look at coaches and be like, wow, they should do this, they should do that, but there are so many intricate parts to coaching a football team. You have your defensive line, offensive line, special teams, wide receivers, quarterback coach, whatever it is.
And there's, plus you have to be able to trust these coaches.
Yeah.
At the same time, ultimately, it's your neck's on the line at the end of the day, and it really is. It's literally a 24/7 job.
Yeah.
I don't know how these guys do it. But it is it's a lot of responsibility. The stakes are very high.
Of course.
It's $1 billion game, and listen, I'm not, they're rewarded handsomely.
Oh, of course.
This is not a Vegas Lions coaching package, although we did pay our coaches.
We did pay our coaches.
Yeah, we were one of the few teams that actually paid their coaches. But
and if you ask them, they would say they didn't make enough.
Of course.
We paid them as more than high school coaches.
They made more than we did. Let's put it that way. Well, listen, we're at the bottom of the hour, so we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to switch gears. We're going to catch up with the red-hot Vegas Knights and also the Vegas Lights, who are just about ready to set sail over at Cashman Field. Southern Nevada Sports News coming to you from WWDBTV.com. We'll be right back.
The golf store you've been waiting for is now open. Bob Allen Golf is ready to help you take your game to the next level. Bob Allen Golf is located at 6415 South Fort Apache, Las Vegas 89148. Choose your favorite clubs from our selection of Bridgestone, Callaway, Cleveland, XXIO, Srixon, Ping, Wilson, and more. We'll custom fit them in our state-of-the-art full-swing golf simulator. Come hang out with us and practice on our putting green to find out which club is perfect for you. Have your clubs repaired, reshafted, and regripped in our on-site tour shop. And talk about accessories. Guys and gals will feel comfortable and look sharp in the many sizes, colors, and options of apparel from Greg Norman, Black Clover, Under Armour, and more. The team at Bob Allen Golf takes your game as seriously as you do. Join our online family at boballen.golf.com and stop in the store to meet us. Remember, at Bob Allen Golf, your game is in the bag.
Booyah! We are back. Round 2. Southern Nevada Sports News coming to you from WWDBTV.com. My name is Bill Miller, co-host along with
Jeff Belknap.
And if you missed us, first half of the show, we were recapping the big game this past weekend, Super Bowl. So now we're going to switch gears and talk about, before we get into the latest professional franchise here, let's talk about the newest one and also the red-hot Golden Knights.
Golden Knights, yes. So, the game last night. Did you catch any of the game last night?
I'm afraid not, since
in
I have Dish.
Well, I did. I did catch the game, and it's great. By the way, the AT&T Sports Network is great. The fact that they put all the games on, they have the mid-period shows and everything. It's a lot of fun. But
thank you for.
Just a little dig.
Yeah.
You can switch. DirecTV, who owns AT&T, or AT&T, whichever, the way it goes. And then Cox actually has it. But it was a lot of fun watching the game. But they didn't give up. I mean, they were down. They scored a couple of goals. They went down 3-2, 4-2, came back, made the game tight, 5-4 final loss. 3-2 so far in the road trip. One more game tomorrow night at the Sharks before they come home. And if anyone doesn't know this, I mean, if you're watching this and you haven't checked the night schedule, they are literally home the rest of the month. They play every other night, starting on the 11th, and they play every other night until the end of the month. And I've never seen that before. Growing up in Detroit, I've never seen a team play consecutive home games like that. Even though they have been on the road, they played 6 games on the road.
Yeah.
To come back and play these games consecutive like that, it's going to be electric down at the T-Mobile.
Well, everybody I know who has gone to a game says it's just absolutely unbelievable.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, and the atmosphere, but more importantly, they win.
Right.
And
except when I go.
Yeah, just if you're going to go, just go before the playoffs start.
Well,
I think that's all any of us really
I'll put it on
for.
Twitter that I'm going. So far, we're 0-2 when I go. And for people that don't know this, because not everyone knows my whole background, I'm a Detroit Lions fan. I watched the Lions play 26 times in my life.
Are you ready for this, folks?
They're literally 0-26. I've never seen the Lions win. And the funny thing is I've actually bought tickets and was scheduled to go to particular games that I didn't end up going to. They pulled those games out, but in my presence, they've never won.
I'm trying to think of a team that I've gone to over the years and not seen them eke out a win some kind of way.
Yeah.
Whether it was the Buccaneers, the Rams, the UCLA, Dodgers. With baseball, obviously there are more opportunities and more games. You're bound. Yeah. What are the odds on going to see a series anywhere and they get swept?
Yeah.
It just generally just doesn't happen. But for a football team, I just find that wow.
Well, I can tell you this, that I went to an Anaheim series, a whole series against Detroit, and I went to all 3 games. They lost all 3 games. I was at the Vince Young game where he beat Charles Woodson in the Rose Bowl. I was at that game. They lost. They lost that game. And I'm not saying that always happens. I'm just saying it's alarming the amount of times that it's happened.
Well, and again, I think that there's a lot riding on the Knights, and we would really appreciate if just.
I just want to go to a playoff game.
Thank you. Yeah, there you go. Because clearly they're riding high at 74 points.
Yeah.
They
first place in the Pacific.
Yeah. They have the ability to win on the road. This is not, even though they have this great home record, they're not bad on the road either. And there was at least one stat I was watching the NFL Network, hoping, and wrong, didn't get it. And but there was a stat, I think, that they had the 3rd best road record of any brand new franchise in the history of the NHL.
Oh wow, okay.
So, and even when I think people anticipate, and we were talking about this with the owner of the bar last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Tony Redovich.
Yeah, and he's a huge hockey fan.
Yep.
And Tony was saying you kind of thought maybe they were kind of stumble a little bit, and it just doesn't seem to happen.
Yeah.
And I think the telltale sign was when the goaltenders were going down left and right.
Yeah.
And they still
pulling them out.
They were figuring out a way.
4th string goalies.
I kind of thought, well, Jesus, maybe one of these defense guys is going to have to put the pads on one night and get there, get there in the crease, and then just kind of, go for broke. They just figure out a way to continue to win.
Oh, it was great. I mean, just to watch them as an organization, not just what they've done on the ice. I went down to, obviously there's the park area that's in front of the stadium. When you go there before the game, the whole place is Golden Knights. And what I'm seeing a lot is obviously the opposing fans are huge. They're at almost every single game, which is great. I mean, I went as a Red Wings fan my first time. Tons of red in the stands. But they win.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is when you got someone like myself in the stands that's a Red Wings fan, and literally when the Red Wings score, I'm cheering. When the Golden Knights score, I'm cheering, And you see that happen because you have these people that are like hockey fans like for life.
Yeah.
And then now they got a team, so they're like, yes, we're winning. And then, so it's hard to root against that team,
I do get at least the benefit of highlights. And if you're watching the NHL network and there's a game in progress, you get those highlights.
That's right, yeah.
So, and I was watching the night they were playing the Rangers, and I could not believe how many Ranger fans were at the game. But then it just simply makes sense. A lot of New Yorkers, and people from that area are here, and transplants. And of course, you usually just have New Yorkers here in the course of it being Las Vegas.
Just coming into town.
Exactly. And the place, when the Rangers scored, at the time I think it was only 1-1. Rangers scored, the whole place lit up.
Probably more than
when the Knights scored, it lit up, but it was not as much as when the Rangers scored.
Yep.
But it's that kind of atmosphere.
Oh, absolutely. Even the game last night, when Fleury made a couple of great saves, and Pittsburgh fans were cheering. Because they realize he's the guy. He's the guy that
absolutely
got them to where they were at. And
it's nice that he got. I'm glad.
I
was going to ask you, the reception that he got.
Oh, the crowd was going nuts.
Yeah, that to me is so cool.
Yeah.
Because some franchises would just simply not give you that.
Oh, there's no doubt.
And I would have think that and just one offhand, Philadelphia.
Right.
I think that you're a Flyer, and then when you're not a Flyer, you're just somebody else. You could have won half a dozen rings if the case may be. They would still boo you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm glad that he got that kind of.
Oh no.
I'm still trying to figure out how in the hell is he a Golden Knight.
Well, they got a good goalie, that's young, and sometimes hockey players don't have the longevity of obviously NFL players go quick, but you don't see a lot of 40-year-old hockey players. There's a couple.
Jaromir Jagr, who's now has been signed with a Czech team, by the way.
Oh, he did get signed?
When he went on waivers, it was literally hours afterwards. He was signed by this Czech team. Yeah. So I don't think he's just not willing to get off the ice.
You know what I mean?
More
think
power
about
to
it.
him.
You get drafted at 18 years old.
Yeah.
What else do you do at that point?
Yeah,
you get up every day and skate and play hockey.
Yeah.
And then somebody just tells you you're not good enough to play, and then what do you quit?
Well, you would think that. You would think that if you've been there 20 years, and they say, "Listen, we're just kind of going another direction."
Almost 30 years.
Yeah, and so now he's what 44. This I'm just saying when he was in his 20 years down the road, and they say, "Well, listen, we really appreciate and." Don't you think it's about time?
But think about it. Him and
Mario
Lemieux on the ice. This complete domination between the two of those.
And again, this kind of goes back to at the time you had Lemieux, Jagr, but you also had Gretzky, Messier,
Yzerman,
and you
greatest ever Yzerman.
Literally, you had these are guys who are obviously. Once they finally, Jagr, once he finally stops playing, will be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But all of these guys are in the Hall of Fame, just kind of waiting around, and they all came out of that era. And and the NHL just simply did just so little to promote them. You had to be a real hockey fan to know who these people were.
That's why I think the Golden Knights is such a great story, because Golden Knights coming into Las Vegas, winning the way that they're winning, could very easily go to at least the Cup. I'm not saying win the Cup. And I didn't say the whole word, so I just said that. But at least going there to compete is a great story for the NHL.
Oh, it is. It absolutely is. And I think that they obviously are going to make the playoffs unless something really catastrophic.
It'd be tragic for them to not make it. It'd be the worst meltdown
in history ever of sports in general.
Yeah.
But again, as long as they're able to hold serve and hold court, they have a chance of going very, very deep because they just, especially when they're at home, they're a very dominating team.
Well, I could tell you this homestand that's coming up, they play the first game at home on the 11th. They play every other night for literally, I think it's 6 or 7 games in a row.
Yeah.
That's going to be a huge homestand for them. If they pull off 4 or 5 victories in this homestand, that's going to be solid. And they're playing tomorrow night. They're playing
the Sharks,
a San Jose team that's really not that great this year. So they could come home with going 4-2 on the road, and then go right into that homestand. So
And
your seatbelts, man. It could be ready.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the game on the 13th. It's the Blackhawks.
Yep.
And and in case you haven't noticed, there's a lot of Chicago-themed restaurants here in town. I got to believe that Amori's will have the game. I might just go down there and go down there and have a pie and watch the game.
That is a plug, by the way.
Yes, it is.
We talked about you guys before. So.
Deep dish Chicago pie, authentic.
Real deal.
Real deal.
Sausage.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Oh. And if you're going down there to eat, order 45 minutes because that's how long it's going to take for a deep dish. But the thin crust is.
But they do serve alcohol.
Dynamite too. Yeah.
So you
can. There's plenty of keep you occupied.
And the garlic nuts are good.
Yeah. And they're the Italian beef.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean it's.
Everything's good.
It's good stuff. So there's your plug, Amori's.
Yep.
Be a sponsor.
And we've talked about you before, so
yeah. And so it wouldn't be the first time. It's where we have settled bets.
That's right.
Yeah. It's a deep dish Amori
Fortunately
pie.
for me, I've won a lot of those bets.
Yes, you have.
Okay, so tonight, before I came to the show, I stopped by Zappos.
Mm-hmm.
They had the uniform unveiling for the Las Vegas Lights
football club.
Yeah.
FC.
And unfortunately, I wasn't able to go there and actually sit in and see the uniform because they're literally doing it at the same time that we're doing this show right now.
Yeah.
But I went down there, the amount of people that were showing up. I mean, if you check out our Twitter page, SN Sports Report, already people filling in. They have merchandise available, hats, hoodies, T-shirts, $20 for a T-shirt and $20 for a fitted hat. I mean, that same hat, if it's NFL hat, is $40. The exact same hat.
Wow.
I'm talking the exact same brand.
Yeah.
And everything is $40. When the NFL, this hat is $20.
Well, it's finally another professional franchise has arrived in Las Vegas.
Yep.
And this is a very soccer mad town.
Yes.
And all you have to do is go during the week, look for the lights around the parks, and it's usually soccer practice for either kids or adults.
It's craziness.
It is absolutely insane. And I have no doubt they're going to do very, very well. I'm certainly looking forward to going down.
Absolutely.
And catching a match or two. And this is, initially we were talking about, it might be a little bit, but I think that in terms as far as the weather is concerned, I've changed my mind. Obviously, I would rather go now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, well, initially I made a joke, and I said it's going to be freezing, on February 10th. But it looks like it's going to be a really nice night.
Yep.
55, 60 degrees, light coat type of weather.
Yeah, not 30, 35.
So, and we've been to Cashman Field in the summer when it's 110.
Mm-hmm.
It is not the most pleasant.
No.
There's no AC. There's not really, because of the way the stadium sits, which is great because of the sun.
Right.
But there's no wind that will come through. So it's pretty much you're sitting in an oven in a sense.
Unless there's a breeze.
Yeah.
It may be a hot breeze, but otherwise you're just sort of sitting
But the way that they set up the stadium, the majority of the fans will get a great vantage point of the stadium. So you're either going to be behind a goal or along one of the sides of the stadium. It's a baseball stadium, so it's not a traditional, in a sense, soccer stadium, but there's going to be some great seats to those events.
Yeah, because Cashman Field, especially for baseball, no matter where you sit, it's a great place to watch
absolutely.
a game.
Yeah.
It's a traditional minor league ballpark. But I'm not sure if anybody knows the New York City football team. They play at Yankee Stadium. So this is not the first time that they've configured a baseball park for soccer.
Yeah.
And also that, and in fact, when the European teams travel during the summer tournaments, they play in some configured baseball parks that are turned into to soccer fields as well.
Yeah, it's great.
So I'm really looking forward to it. In fact, you ran into someone.
I did.
Yes, Ryan Green, who's director of communications for the new Las Vegas Lights Football Club. And the website, by the way, is lightsfc, as in lightsfootballclub.com. And they're going to be, they're part of the United Soccer League, USL. And this is if it would be the equivalent, let's say, for the Premier League. All of my Premier League fans out there and buddies out there.
That's right.
This would probably be considered the English Football League or League One.
Okay.
Yeah, so just to kind of give you a reference point, because there's also the NSL,
right,
National Soccer League. But, these are teams that are looking to be promoted.
Which from my understanding, the last 6 teams that have started, 5 of those 6 teams actually moved up.
Yeah. In
so
fact,
this is definitely going a step in the right direction.
Yeah, there's some teams out there right now. For instance, Orlando, Atlanta. These are all former lower division teams that have now made it to the MLS. And but this is an opportunity, especially if you're a soccer fan here, to watch professional soccer. Family pricing,
oh, man, great.
And every seat's going to be a great seat. So you're not sitting in. There is no nosebleed section at Cashman Field. Yeah. And good food, good fun. Come and support this team because in May we have the Las Vegas Aces of the WNBA
coming up.
Bill Lambier, former Detroit Piston, and Palos Verdes High School
getting him in here,
center. Yes, we graduated the same year, Bill, 75. Yeah. And we've absolutely have got to get some of the WNBA personnel in here as well. But Vegas folks, this is begun, and of course, obviously, another year or two down the road, we've got the Oakland Raiders, and that'll be the Las Vegas Raiders will be taking up shop here in a brand new stadium.
Oh, it's gonna be great. And by the way, the model of the stadium at Town Square, very cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they have like a scale model of the stadium. I mean, this place is going to be this top end.
Well, it looks like they're going to be breaking ground on their practice facility, which is going to be in Henderson, I believe. I saw the mayor of Henderson, she was obviously very excited.
In her old district.
Really?
Yeah.
Even better, huh?
Oh, she's ecstatic. And not only that, but there's a great area in front of that going up to St. Rose Parkway, where there's going to be a park area and everything. It's going to be a really nice setup, and they have I think I can say this because they didn't tell me not to, but there's going to be a town square type area that's going to be built out in Henderson as well. Mm-hmm. And if you didn't know that, then I'm the first to tell you, and don't forget that I told you first.
Don't forget you heard it here. Southern Nevada Sports News, WWDBTV.com.
But back to the lights. So this Saturday, 8 p.m. at Cashman Field, and then the 2 consecutive Saturdays after that, also at 8 p.m. These are preseason games. The season actually starts on March 17th on the road. So their first physical home game would be March 24th. But this is going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch. And
against Reno FC?
Yeah, so what they've been doing is they call it a takeover, and they have the Snapchat takeover. So they have a player that actually takes the Snapchat, and then he walks around and he does his own thing, shows them what he makes for breakfast and does all this stuff. So it's actually kind of fun. If you haven't followed him on Snapchat, follow him on Snapchat. I think it's LV Lights FC is their Snapchat, and it's fun to watch those guys because you get a sense of like who they are as people. We always want to look at them on TV or like on the field or whatever and think that they're like not ordinary people, but they're really just like regular guys that chose to play soccer. Yeah,
and but I'm really excited by it.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be great for this town, and I'm anticipating there's probably going to be a lot of people there.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just want to make sure that I kind of get in there on the first time around and see. So.
Oh, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, anytime you and I we've been able to get courtside and like on the field of several games, and there's really nothing like it. I mean, if you can be right there in the action, I mean that's the best spot to be.
Yeah, ringside with our our friends.
Yeah. Like literally, when we say ringside, you're like ducking sweat. You know? Guy gets hit and you're ducking down like, I don't want to hit with that. But.
Yeah, I mean, and which means it's time for us to reach out to the folks at Tough Enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to see how they're doing.
Oh, they got some great stuff. Tough Enough's got some great stuff going on where they're, going to other states, and they just recently did an event in California, and Jeff's doing a great job getting those guys out there, and I mean, just take my hat off to him every time I see all the stuff he's doing. It's just great to see.
Yeah, and we've known these folks over there for some time now.
Yeah,
I mean, probably one of the real unusual sports that we were linked to when we first started the show.
That's right.
You know, and they were kind enough to always invite us to the dance and you know, give us great seats.
Oh yeah, Jeff's been great, and Rona. Let's not just give Jeff. I mean, we
please.
all know who the backbone of this organization.
Rona, you're a superstar. You know, and we're not sure how Jeff does without you.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he could actually.
I don't think he could either. But it's really been a remarkable organization, and you know, they're you know, Pack the Mac. Events.
Was it 17,000, 18,000 people?
Yeah, you know, I mean that's really given back, you know, to the city and to MMA fans in general.
Yeah, well, it's great. So, what do you think? You got anything else left in this? I mean,
you know, I'm
so excited for what's going on this weekend. I mean,
I am too, and also, folks, if I'm not mistaken, next week, pitchers and catchers report. Baseball is almost upon us again.
Well, every other fans across the country are excited. Tiger fans, they're getting ready for a 100-loss season, and I'm not wishing that upon Tiger fans. I honestly think that they will literally be one of the bottom teams in the league, and I'll be shocked if they could even come near 500.
Wow, really?
Oh wait, hold on. I just thought of something. Okay, so we got 2 or 3 more minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about some of the awards. So we got Coach of the Year, L.A. Rams.
Absolutely.
Defensive Player of the Year, L.A. Rams. And this is for my boy, George Mish, who laughed at me. He literally laughed at me when I said that Gurley was the best running back in the league, Offensive Player of the Year. You remember him laughing at me?
Yes, absolutely.
And I said, this guy is literally one of the best running backs in the league, and he laughed.
And again, I think it was because of you know, the last year.
Yeah.
You know, the debacle with Fisher.
Right, of course.
Yeah,
And then he had offensive line issues, but
yeah,
you know, I'm looking at him as a back, and now he's got a solid line, and you know, he showed.
Yeah, and hats off to my my youngest son Jason's New Orleans Saints, both the offense and defense Rookie of the Year.
That's great.
Yeah. I think that may very well be the first time that's ever happened. And it really says a lot about that franchise going forward, because I don't think folks gave them much of a chance in the NFC South.
Yeah.
You know, and but you know, I think that going forward it is going to be again one of the most competitive divisions in football.
And you can say what you want about Peyton, but I'm telling you right now, for him to be suspended, have to take a year off and come back, and he didn't do it right away, but what he did with the team to bring him back to a competitive, like a high competitive level, was fantastic.
Oh, it is, and he's hung in there. More importantly, the ownership has hung in there with him.
Yeah.
I think that there were certainly, I mean, he was on, you know, literally, like they had him pegged as a dead man walking for 2-3 years in a row.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then the timeless one, I mean, you know, we talk about Tom Brady, but Drew Brees, you know, his numbers speak for himself.
Continue to crush records.
And I have no doubt, but which brings up the, you know, if we've got basically a minute, so we'll discuss this next week. It's a teaser, but it's the quarterback carousel as it begins immediately after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Folks, thanks again for tuning in with us. Join us next Wednesday. It'll be the 14th, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, for another installment of Southern Nevada Sports News coming to you from WWDBTV.com. Have a great week.
God bless.